Good afternoon. I hope everything's going well for you. I wanted to send you this video that I promised this week. I wanted to review your midterms, and I also wanted to talk a little bit about lesson planning. You had a lot of questions, and I want to make sure I answer all of them. First, I want to tell you that, again, that this is the first time I've taught this course, and that's why I had you do the midterm versus taking a formal test. The formal test that is part of this course, I looked at it, and I didn't think that it was going to benefit us in any way or help you in any way, shape, or form. And since this is the first time that I've taught the course, I really wanted feedback on what was working, what wasn't, and I wanted to check and see if you had any questions. Many of you questioned why I made it anonymous. Well, I wanted to make sure you felt comfortable being honest. I think that's important for you to have that type of forum sometimes. And I also wanted to make sure that, you could feel comfortable basically expressing concerns, okay? The first question I want to address deals with Reflections notebooks. And many of you are concerned about how you're going to hand it in. Well, you have three ways that you can do so. You can make a YouTube video and show it to me and tell me what you've learned. You can mail it to me, or you can place it in my box, and you can get these back from me, so that's not a problem. Or you can come in and share it with me if you live in the area. So those are choices. Why we are doing this, and it seems to most of you really like it. There are a handful of you that don't, and I think maybe you're getting bogged down in it. You have to remember that I am showing you, I'm modeling for you a way that you can have students be able to make meaning on their own, use their brain, take the content you've taught, and on one side of the notebook, make that meaning, ask those questions, basically use those three key questions to help them comprehend, and comprehension is the main goal of reading. The other reason is because you have to cover certain reading comprehensions, competencies, and in that notebook, the content I'm giving you deals with those RECs. So I wanted to be able to demonstrate that I've covered that. So those are two reasons for that. Remember, you can, when you get into your classroom, you can change it in any way, shape, or form. I'm working on a reflections notebook that is computerized that would make it easier for students to be able to share with me what they're doing, drop it in the box. It takes a lot of money to create some of these types of apps or web pages, and I've been working on trying to obtain money to do that, and hopefully one day I can share that with you even after you're gone, so maybe you could use it with your own students. I hope you are enjoying it. Don't spend too much time on it. You just want to get the understanding of the right left side. You want to have that content in there so that you have a little playbook that you can take into the classroom. And don't forget to continue adding to it. When you find things, write them down in there, or if there are titles of books or if there are lesson ideas that you come up with, okay? I want to talk to you about lesson planning, and the first question that I found interesting was, why are we lesson planning when it seems to be the thing of the past? Well, actually, with standards-based assessments and the way we're going with Common Core, you're going to probably see more principals than not require planning. And let me just tell you this from my experience, because one of you asked about my experience. And I had principals that ranged all the way from turning into weekly lesson plans that were formulated, and I had to keep them in a binder, put it in her box, she checked it off, and sent it back for me to teach for the week. I had one principal that had us do 9-week course maps that were very simple, and then I had some principals that didn't require anything, so it's going to vary. But like I said, I think you're going to see various ways to plan. The lesson plan that's in this course is not my favorite. I agree with some of you, but you do need to see, because some of you will take to that method and will use it, whereas others will not. I got to the end of my career where I was writing my lessons on Post-it notes because I had an actual plan book, and if I didn't cover something, I would move it over to the next day, and it just was easier for me to do that. After 17 years, I was able to very quickly do a weekly lesson plan. But you do need to be familiar with it, and hopefully you'll find ways that you like to do that, and you won't be required to do it a specific way, but you don't know, okay? Um, Next semester, I probably will have a different way of planning to make it a little bit easier, so I appreciate your feedback. It helps me a lot. And I agree with that that's not my favorite way of planning. Um, Also, I want to point out, because I don't think that some of you are utilizing your resources. Okay, when it comes to books and online learning, first you have to purchase the book, then you have to read the book, then you have to use the book. And I don't know where you fit in on that, and I'm not nagging, but this book, especially the Buell book, is fantastic. I did not select these books. Dr. Bowling selected them when she taught the course, and basically what they are 3 books of strategies. That's all that's in there. Other than in the Buell book, at the beginning, it takes you through the gradual release of responsibility. It talks about text frames, what you're teaching. It talks about how you self-question in the different areas, content areas or subject areas that you're teaching. It goes into the taxonomy for each of you. Then it goes into the front loading, guiding comprehension, and consolidated learning, and it lists strategies for front loading or pre-reading, strategies for guiding comprehension or during reading, and consolidating understanding, which is after reading. Okay, so this is something that I made a copy of for you, and scanned it, and it's a very good chart. And then it goes on to talk about comprehension processes, making connections, and what strategies you can use to do that. And it also goes into the different, concept definition, problem solution, and what strategies you can use. Then the strategies themselves, this is interactive reading. They have a box. See that box right there? And it tells you what strategy it's focusing on. Like this one for interactive reading is more of during reading and after reading, what text frames it covers, and even what reading comprehension strategies you're covering. So I think that's ideal for some of you that are in PE or fitness and art and music. You can get an idea of what reading strategies you're basically using in your content or subject area. This interactive reading is an interesting activity where you have kids working together and both partners do something, and then partner A does something, and then you work together. Both partners do something, partner A does something, then you work together to create mental images, you work together to make connections. Both partners do something else, and then partner B does something, and then they work together to determine the importance. And they give you a sample for physical science and for world history, and then it gives you the standards, the Common Core state standards that are being utilized at the very end, and it gives you suggestions for further reading. So this book just, in my opinion, rocks. It's amazing. So, I asked you for assignments to flip through these and see what was going to work for your content area and with what you were going to teach. So basically, all your plans are in there. It takes you step by step, and you're able to use that same verbiage. You just tell me that it's taken from classroom strategies, which many of you did. You caught on to that, and some of you aren't using it at all. And I'm not real sure why. Maybe you're not finding it useful. If you want to give me some feedback on that, I would appreciate it. Okay, 2 more questions you have, and these are good ones. TK20, what needs to go in there? I have taken week by week, I've taken some activities out. I don't know how you could have done all these activities, and I have consolidated in order to make it easier for you. But in TK20, your vocabulary lesson, your comprehension lesson, your writing lesson, and then a reflection will be handed into TK20. Go back, make the changes on the vocabulary lesson that you need to make, on the comprehension lesson that you need to make, and I'm giving you lots of feedback to do that. And save those. At the end of the semester, you will upload those 4 documents. Okay, and those are required by the state. The reflections notebook is also, covers for the state the RECs. That's another reason, a method that I use to cover those RECs, because it's all a competency 1 and 2, and that is a million different things. And that was the easiest way to actually demonstrate that. The other question that I had, and that I'm going to leave for last because I love it, is that one of you asked me, how do you start a classroom library, and how do you read everything? Good question. I used to go, when I first started reading, I used to go to garage sales and pick up books like crazy. Scholastic always has sales in Tallahassee. You can drive over there, or if you live near there, they have them a couple times a year where you can get books for almost nothing. Or you can write grants. And if you want to do that, once you get into the classroom, maybe we could do that together. Don't forget to use your professors to help you with that. One time I wrote a grant with another professor and I obtained $10,000 and I actually bought my classroom library. Work with your professors to find out good titles. Get on thebookdealer.net, my site, to find out what's new. Look for other, like if you're a science or social studies teacher, Google. And I'm sure there are book sites like mine out there where you can start getting an idea of what you would like for your library. And it took me 15 years to figure this one out. But what I did is I sent a permission slip home and I told the parents that I had a huge library. I'm a reading teacher and that there's no way I could read everything. But if they wanted to allow their young adult to select their own books and give them a blanket permission, um, for them to sign. If not, I would email them when their son or daughter checked a book out from my library. And only 3 out of 160 parents asked for book titles. After the first 9 weeks of me teaching, I sent those 3 parents the list of the books that the student had selected. 2 of them said, "Oh, you don't have to email me anymore." And the last one hung in there to the very end. And she told me at the end of the fourth quarter that the only reason she wanted the titles was not that she was scrutinizing what I had in there, but that she wanted to read along with her son because he'd started reading that year fervently and she wanted to see what I had. So I just wanted to answer your questions. I hope you have a great day and I will talk to you soon.